So, Ellen, let's start with you. We have a lot of fans of the station here today, but you had the vision to turn this into a movie. And it's obviously a movie that's gone on to be shown all over the world and on Showtime. And it's amazing that you had the vision to understand that what could be perceived as a local story is actually something that had an appeal to a much wider audience. So can you explain a little bit about the idea for making this film and how you incorporated Dennis and Larry into this vision?
All right, well, how long you got?
As long as you need.
Let's see. Well, my whole family's in entertainment. And I have done production before of events, and anyway, I always was a fan of LAR, and I think it was, I was scrolling on Facebook one day and I found the WLAR tribute sites. There were a couple of them, and people were posting like old videos of the songs, and I was like, oh, I love this song. Oh my God, I love LAR. And I was like, whatever happened to that station? Like, I just remembered, like I showed in the movie, like one day it was on, then it was off the air, and I just remembered then they were playing like show tunes, and then it was DRE, and then it was LAR again, and I was like, what happened? You know, so it became kind of like a phenomenon. I was just like, well, let's do some research and find out if there's a story. And then first I researched to find out, did anyone ever do a movie about this station? And nobody ever did. I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I started to do research. I was like, wow, there's a really good story here. And the first person I contacted was Bob Wilson. That's right. Because he ran a website for WLAR. And I said, oh, this guy probably knows. I knew I had to reach Dennis. I remembered Dennis. I remembered he was the program director. He was like the face of LAR. I knew that. So I was like, I got to get to Dennis. And I asked Bob Wilson if he can connect me, since he was running this LAR website. And I think he
did.
Yeah.
He managed to put the two of us together.
Yeah. And at first, he did not want to do the movie. It was,
no, I did not.
He did not, he was not involved.
I wanted nothing to do with
that. And so I spoke to Dennis, and I knew there was a story, and he was like, well, what if you make this into a fictional theatrical film? So about just some random person being a fan of a radio station that was similar to WLAR. So we tried to work with that and pitched it to a couple of people that I know in the industry, and they were like, this is more of a documentary. Yeah. So that's when I got Dennis back on, and I said, got to be a documentary. And then he started to introduce me to everyone, basically.
Yeah.
To all the
we met, I remember, in Brooklyn at that bookstore.
Yeah.
Bookstore.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it was the first time we'd all been together, and it seemed like decades. And it was kind of magical.
Yeah.
It was, because, you know what, it was like a band that hadn't been together again. And then we were a band again. And little by little, with her prodding, of course, we started telling stories and, you know, laughing a lot. And you realize there's an awful lot of sadness to the story of LIR, which is not worth telling about, because it's probably a different movie entirely. But this one captured the feeling of the bands, of the people, and also that it was just a bunch of kids that loved music. I mean, I was a little older, perhaps, or a little more vetted than the others, but basically, we just found our niche and stayed with it, and the rest of it's history, thanks to Ellen.